Hey, what's up fellow fight fans? Will back once again for another fight card prediction. We're going to be breaking down UFC Fight Night 119 from Sao Paulo, Brazil, as Derek Brunson faces off against the returning former UFC light heavyweight champion Lyoto the Dragon Machida in the main event of an overall unbelievably good fight night card from Brazil. They've really did a good job putting these matchups together, really fine matchmaking. From UFC Fight Pass through the prelims onto the main card. Really fun card. Looking forward to it this weekend. As always, thank you for all your subscriptions. I said I wanted to get to 1,500 subscribers before the end of 2017. We've only got another 43 to go, so keep pushing, guys. Keep subscribing. Keep leaving your comments. Keep leaving me who you think is going to win the fights, and I will try and get back to you as soon as I can. Poland was a good card. I think I went 9-2, which is fairly decent. And shout out to Darren Till after that unbelievable finish of Cerrone. I didn't see it coming, but he shocked a lot of people out there with a big win, a big stoppage, first round stoppage of Cowboy Cerrone. So let's get into this card. Heavyweight division with Christian Colombo against Marcelo Golm, who's making his debut here. Marcelo Golm 5-0, all wins in the first round via knockout. Now he's not faced many guys over there in the Brazil regionals. He was due to face Arjan Bula, who's in the UFC as well. That fight got cancelled. That would have been like his third or fourth fight of his professional career. So that was going to be a big fight if it ever did come to fruition, but it didn't. From what I've seen, athletic kid, probably should be maybe a light heavyweight, maybe further on in his career. He's about 6'4". In fact, I don't know. I remember looking at it, it was at 240, so maybe it's a bit too big for that division. But big power, pretty athletic, but really out of the fights that I watched, there's really not much there to him. But he has got a really good opponent in Christian Colombo. Good as in, he should be able to beat him fairly convincingly. Christian Colombo is just terrible. He's not a very good fighter in this heavyweight division. Heavyweight's got a few fighters like that. His fight with Yarius Danho, if you've ever watched that fight and you think about going back to watch it, don't. I went back and watched it, and I was wanting to stab myself for even thinking about going back and watching it. Just stupidity on my part. And then he lost to Henrique da Silva last year down in Brazil. Actually, I think in Sao Paulo in November, so where he got submitted in the third round by Luis Henrique. I think Marcelo Golm's going to come out here and just blitz him, and I can see him keeping that run going of winning in the first round here. So, but if it goes late, then maybe Christian Colombo can use some grappling, take him down, and just kind of spoil on him a little bit. Don't expect, if this doesn't finish early, this fight could be a little bit of a spoiler. It could be very, very bad. But I think Marcelo Golm's going to come out and put the hands on him and put him down there. This is probably the worst fight of the entire card. So we're only getting good fights from here on out. So pick's going to be Marcelo Golm. I'm going to keep this streak going with first round knockout. See if we can do it. First round TKO for Marcelo Golm. This is a great fight. Deiveson Figueiredo Alcantara against Jared Brooks. Two live wires in that 125 pound division. Alcantara is a guy who I liked. I loved watching his fights before he went to UFC. All action guy. He gets dropped. He drops people. He does lots of really fun strikes, and just looks to bring the fight to his opponent. Jared Brooks, I don't think he really showed up too much for his UFC debut. I think he could definitely show a lot more. Either way, he got the W in that one there, but I do think the limit on where they can go in this division is far higher for Jared Brooks. But Alcantara just makes it a fight. If you go back and watch, I say to people that, and I've said to a few people on social media, go back and watch this guy's fights before his first UFC fight. They're just fun fights. So hopefully he brings the fight to Jared Brooks here. What I worry about is Jared Brooks' wrestling and his control, and it's just relentlessness to get those takedowns. I think those takedowns are going to be there in abundance in this fight. I think the nerves are going to be gone. I think that the nerves are going to be gone, and I think that the aggressiveness that Alcantara has is just going to go straight into Jared Brooks, and he's going to accumulate takedowns very, very quickly, and he's going to just control this fight on pretty much on his grappling alone. On his feet, he throws some heavy leather, doesn't have huge power, but I think he has with his grappling, he can work his way into submissions as well. So the way I kind of see this fight going is Jared Brooks using that supreme timing, takedowns, control, and just pretty much doing that for the 3 rounds. But I'm kind of whether to pick him by submission, because I think he has got some fun submissions, like some standing rear naked chokes outside the UFC, and he has fought good guys out there as well outside of the UFC and beat good guys as well. So the pick's going to be Jared Brooks. I'm just kind of wondering whether he gets a submission victory or a decision victory. I'm going to stick with the decision victory. I think it's for flyweight fights, it's kind of more a regular thing that happens, but I do see continuously taking down Alcantara here and really just control him for the 3 rounds. DraftKings, this guy's probably going to be a play for the simple reason that he is going to accumulate so many takedowns, advancing positions as well. So big guy to have on DraftKings, Jared Brooks, but I think 30-27 across the board there for Jared Brooks. Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos versus Max Griffin's up next. This should be a striking battle. Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos, to me, is one hard bastard. I mean, he really is. Really hard-nosed, gritty guy, in your face, throwing big, heavy leather. And he's a guy that's really, really quiet in that welterweight division. Not many people know about him, but he's accumulated a 3-fight win streak in the UFC. And he's looking good. He's beaten half-decent guys. I mean, Akhmadov, it's always nice beating one of those Russians who can take you down and so on, and he stopped him in that fight. Keita Nakamura, not easy for anybody facing that guy. Legit veteran who's seen it all, done it all, outside the UFC, fighting guys and so on, and it's just a tough out for anybody in that welterweight division. We've seen that in the Tom Breeze fight. He's just a tough guy to face. And Lyman Good going into New York, going over there, dropping that guy, and winning on his soil as well. So I was really, really impressed with him. Just throws heavy leather. He's got some, he just kind of plants his feet and wants to throw down. Max Griffin, on the other hand, coming off that UFC win last time against Eric Montano, this is a different beast here in Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos. He obviously had that first fight with Colby Covington coming there short notice and got dominated fairly quickly. I like Zaleski dos Santos in this one. I think he can knock him out. So I'm going to go a second round TKO victory there for Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos. Lightweight division, we have Hacran Diaz moving up from 145 to face off against Jared Gordon, who was really impressive in his debut. I mean, he's got a backstory of like drug abuse and so on, and came out there and he just really impressed me with his grappling first of all, and then once he got down there he delivered heavy ground and pound, and then he got the victory over Michel Quinones via TKO. This is a clear step up in opponent though in class, because Diaz, not great, but he's very tough and very durable, and he's coming off two losses as well, so he really needs a big win. Does Hacran Diaz. I mean, he lost to Cub Swanson, which is always a tough fight for anybody. He's a top 5 guy, top 3 guy in that division, and then he lost to Andre Fili, which was a little bit surprising. Andre Fili took him down. What's Jared Gordon's kind of main weapons is his wrestling, his takedowns, and his control, pretty similar to what Jared Brooks is. I see him coming out quick, establishing that he can take this guy down and just kind of control him from there. Hacran Diaz is a hard out though, but in Brazil especially. But I just see Jared Gordon doing enough in kind of everywhere in the fight to win a decision victory. Do I see him finishing Diaz? Maybe with late strikes in the third round if he gets down there and he's just continuously putting his weight on Diaz and just beating him up with ground and pound. But I think a decision is going to be the best method of victory here. So Jared Gordon via a decision. Middleweight division, Antonio Carlos Jr. against Jack Marshman. I like Jack as a person. He's a great guy. This is just, I think, going to be a bad matchup for him. I see Jack is a boxer by trade, comes out there wanting to kind of swing leather. He kind of goes out in his shield, like the Thiago Santos fight. He landed some big strikes in that one, but then got knocked out with a head kick. And fought pretty valiantly in Glasgow as well. I thought he fought pretty well. against Ryan James, but Ryan James even got some strikes off against him. So his chin, his defensive frailties are a little bit there to be taken advantage of. I think that Carlos Jr. has some heavy leg kicks, but he does not want to keep this on the floor, on the feet. He wants to take this to the floor, take it to the mat, where he has got clear advantages over pretty much maybe a majority of people in that middleweight division, maybe not named Yoel Romero or Jacare Souza was what I was meaning. Wins over Augusto Ramirez, Marvin Vittorio, I think is going to be a good win in your record for years to come. And Eric Spicely is never an easy guy to fight because he is fairly decent on the ground as well. But in that fight, Carlos Jr. showed he was the superior grappler in that one there, and found a submission in the second round with a rear naked choke. I see it starting off with being fairly even on the feet, Jack trying to get in there and just put his will onto Antonio Carlos Jr., but I see Antonio just finding a takedown, and once he gets that takedown, I just think it's going to be a really tough night for Jack Marshman, and I see a submission victory here for Antonio Carlos Jr. even in the first round. I think that it's going to find its way to the ground, and once it gets there, that he's just going to be drowning in the game of Antonio Carlos Jr. So I'm going to go a first round submission for Cara de Zapato in that one there, and continue his win streak to 4, and we'll see what's going on moving on from there. And your main event of the kind of prelims, you have Vicente Luque against Niko Price. This is a really good fight, and it's a tough fight to pick. I've been going between kind of both guys a little bit, and I don't know, I'm not the biggest fan of Niko Price, but I think he's got a lot of skills and he's got a lot of good tendencies in his game, and you can't take this guy kind of for granted in all aspects of the game. Showing against Brandon Thatch, you can can use his ground game to submit you. Showed in the Alan Joban fight that the guy has big power in his hands. So overall, a pretty well-rounded fighter who's very, very confident in himself right now, and looking to really put his name into that mix at welterweight, because there's a lot of people that can move into that top 20 of that division, just like Darren Till, who one big win or one big opportunity against a good guy, and you are going to skyrocket yourself in that division. Niko Price could do that here. I like Vicente Luque though. The only thing that kind of worries me a little bit is his gas tank. I think with his striking, it's been ever improving since we've seen him in Ultimate Fighter. Lost to Leon Edwards last time out, I'll put that out there. But Leon is a guy I really rate. I think he's a good guy and a top 15 guy in that division. And Luque is still a young guy, so he's still coming through and finding himself as a mixed martial artist. In Brazil as well, I like it. I just think that it's an interesting, but I think it's going to be close. Actually, I think it's going to be really close. I can see rounds being exchanged, and when it comes to close fights in Brazil, I'm going to lean with the Brazilian there. So I'm going to go Vicente Luque via a very close 29-28 decision. And it's just a really fun fight that I'm looking forward to that one a lot, but the pick's going to be Luque. Moving on to the main card, we have John Hands of Stone Lineker against Marlon Chito Vera. I like Chito Vera. I like his story with his daughter. Guys taking late fights, coming over on like literally a few days' notice against Brad Pickett. He was losing that fight. Finds a huge flying knee, puts the guy down in his last fight in his home city. Huge win. And then Brian Kelleher, I wasn't sure how that fight was going to go. Then he submitted Brian Kelleher, so he's shown real big improvement since he went from Jackson Winks to Timo Yama. Timo Yama's got a really solid group of fighters right now, and they're all getting better, and you can see that as well. So I just think this is a little bit too much for Marlon Chito Vera. I think John Lineker is a tough guy to fight in any division, whether it be flyweight, whether it be bantamweight. He just stands there, puts his feet down, just stands there and is ready to willing to throw and take your head clean off. And his last fight with TJ Dillashaw was just too technical. He was too quick. He was too good. Plain and simple. There's some guys that he's going to beat in that top 5, I think, but there's guys that he's going to lose to as well, and TJ Dillashaw was just a tough stylistic matchup for John Lineker. In this one, I think that maybe Marlon's going to want to test himself on the on the feet. If he's smart, he wants to take it to the ground where he can maybe catch a submission. Lineker has been subbed in the past via guillotines and rear naked chokes as well. So pick's going to be John Lineker. I think that they're going to get into a little bit of a trading battle, and I think he's going to get caught. But Vera sometimes in his fights can use his range and fight long, and he looks good in doing so. And that's what I think his game plan needs to be. But Lineker just barrels forward and throws heavy hands to the body, like heavy combinations. He's just a great fighter to watch. Really exciting guy. I think John Lineker's going to stop him. I think he's going to TKO him in the mid-round. So I'm going to go a second round TKO victory there for John Lineker. Thiago Santos versus Jack Hermansson's up next. This is an interesting fight. I've been going back and forward in this one as well. Initially, I was on Jack Hermansson, and then literally over the last 1 or 2 days, I've been after watching a few fights of Thiago Santos, I've kind of started to switch back over to him. And then today I was watching it. It's just a really close fight to me. I think it's a really well matched fight as well. I think that Jack Hermansson can stop him, or can break him, I should say, with his pressure that he brings. Fairly decent. He can throw out a really nice jab, fight long, but I don't think he wants to stand on the feet with this guy, because Santos is dangerous. I mean, he's got those heavy kicks, and he's willing to throw them from a lot of different angles as well. So, but where we see Jack Hermansson at his best is when he gets you down, he has got really big ground and pound, and I think if he gets on top of you, you are completely goosed. I don't see anybody really getting out from underneath him once he gets in that top position and is raining shots down. Coming off those wins, I mean, he beat was it Brad Scott, and he just absolutely demolished him over there in Sweden, and he did the same with Alex Nicholson. Now, they're not two big names in that division. The last time he did come to Brazil, he got beat fairly comprehensively by Cesar Ferreira. And it's an interesting fight because Thiago Santos is a guy that sometimes flattens to deceive a little bit, and I think that this could be one of those fights where it happens. But he is fighting Brazil. He has been at American top team. He is coming off a couple of finishes himself over Jeremy Mearshart and Jack Marshman in the second rounds with TKOs with punches and with the spinning back kick and so on. I'm struggling with this one a little bit. I think I don't know. Jack Hermansson, let me see. Because Jack Hermansson is one of those guys that can take you down and can beat you up. But Thiago Santos, he's actually got a fairly decent get-up game as well. So I'm struggling a little bit here. I'm actually going to go with Thiago Santos. I think I'm going to regret this pick a little bit, because I think that Jack Hermansson is very confident right now. As I said, if he gets you on the ground, he's got that heavy strikes, and he could definitely stop Thiago Santos. I'm going to pick Thiago Santos. I think he's going to stop the takedowns, and I think on the feet he has the advantage. He hits harder, he's a little bit more technical, and he's a little bit more varied in his strikes as well. So that's a tough pick for me, because I like Hermansson a lot, and I can see a clear path to victory for him, but something's calling me with Thiago Santos. So Thiago Santos for the win in that one there. Lightweight division, we have Francisco Masaranduba Trinaldo against Jim Miller. This is a tough fight for Jim Miller going down to Brazil, especially coming off a 2-fight losing streak to Dustin Poirier and Anthony Pettis, where Pettis kind of showed up to being a little bit the old Anthony Pettis a little bit and looked a little bit better. Is Jim Miller on his way out? I don't know. He's still a tough fight for a lot of guys in that lightweight division, especially people like Trinaldo, who we've seen starts off very strong but can fade in the middle part and the late part of the fight. Extremely strong kickboxing from Trinaldo, but we've seen that he can be hurt in the feet as well. Kevin Lee hurt him before taking him down, before submitting him. And what's Jim Miller's probably best way to win this fight is probably in the ground. It's really hard to. I don't think Jim Miller's got the strength to keep Masaranduba down there and submit him. I don't see, not unless he can get top position, obviously, where he can rain down strikes and then look for submissions through that. This is a close fight. This is another fight I'm really not confident in my pick here. The pick's going to be Masaranduba. I think he could end up hurting Jim Miller on the feet, and then just kind of over 3 rounds just really putting it on Jim Miller. But I can see Jim Miller having success as well. This is why this card's really good. Really well matched fights. And if Jim Miller loses this one, it's his first 3-fight lose streak in his whole entire career. So I'm going to pick Francisco Trinaldo. I'm going to pick him via decision. But I must admit, I'm not really overly confident. But I'm really looking forward to that fight. Actually, I think it's a good, well-matched fight at this point in the career. You see, especially with Marcelo, but he needs to get back on the winning trail. Jim Miller just needs a win, period. And he's going down to Brazil against a tough guy. Interesting fight, really good fight, but the pick's going to be Marcelo via decision. Bantamweight division with Pedro Munhoz against Rob Font. This is another fight I've been a little bit back and forth. I think I've seen a lot of people on Twitter very high on Rob Font. I like Rob Font a lot, I must admit. But I think that Pedro Munhoz is very good, and he's very durable. It does take a lot of unnecessary strikes, but he's a guy that can throw up a high kick and knock you out, or jump on an arm or a leg or a neck, and can submit you as well. Didn't think he looked overly great against Demian Stazak last time. I must admit, last time out. It was his first fight since moving to ATT, so having another 4 or 5 months at ATT is going to do great wonders for your game. Rob Font here is coming off a really dominant victory over Douglas De Silva Dre Andrade, where he stopped him. He actually got a bonus that night. I just think that Rob Font's got a huge reach advantage, which he's going to use, and I think he's going to pop the head back of Pedro Munhoz on numerous occasions. I can see when Pedro getting in too close, maybe Rob Font taking him down. He has to be very careful because Munhoz, I think, is opportunistic in his attacks, so it's something that he has to be very, very careful with. But I just see Rob Font being the little bit better fighter at this time, and I can see him getting this victory here and moving himself up that division. He's a guy that not too many people are going to want to fight in that top 15, I think. I think he's a really tough out, and he's getting better, and he's getting more confident with every win and every fight going forward. So I'm going to pick Rob Font. I think that he could potentially... I'm going to go for a stoppage, actually. I'm going to go for a TKO stoppage via ground and pound for Rob Font. I was going to pick decision, but I think this is one of these cards where we could see a lot of finishes or a lot of decisions. It's kind of one in between them, but I see one with a lot of finishes, I think. So Rob Font via TKO. I'm going to go early round number 3 in that one there. If not, a very kind of dominant decision. I see this being a breakout performance for Rob Font here. Co-main event of the night, Maia against Colby Covington. Maia stepping back in there again, very quick. This is like third fight in 6 months. He fought in May, fought in July, he's fighting here in October, so very active for Maia, and coming off, it wasn't a great fight against Tyron Woodley, I must admit. He really, I think that fight, he needed more time to prepare himself for Tyron Woodley. Tyron Woodley is one of the hardest guys to get down. It showed his off defensive wrestling to stop getting taken down was unbelievable. But I don't think Colby Covington is to that level of what Tyron Woodley is with his defensive wrestling. With his offensive wrestling, Colby Covington is unbelievable. He's not going to want to wrestle offensively against Maia here. I cannot see this, because if he gives Maia ample opportunity to get this fight to the ground, I think Maia will submit Colby Covington, and this is a fight where Colby Covington, I think, has to use his striking. Now, his striking has definitely been coming on. You can see from his early fights in the UFC, it was predominantly wrestling, his grappling, and it still is to the main part of his game. But since then, his striking has definitely come forward. You can see he's working with Jorge Masvidal, and I forget the name of his coach, who's a really good striking coach. But they're coming forward with his striking, and that's something that I thought he showed in the Dong Kim fight. He mixed it up really well, strikes with takedowns, and really that was a fight that I said in my last video with Colby Covington that he had to prove it to me. He proved it to me, but he's got himself a tough fight here. I still think that Maia is one of the toughest stylistic fights you can get in that UFC welterweight division across any divisions. Really, really tough. Great, unbelievable submissions. He really doesn't offer much in the striking department, does Maia. He's going to be pretty much having the same game plan here against Colby Covington that he had against Tyron Woodley. but I just see him getting Colby Covington down. Covington, I want to see what his defensive wrestling and grappling's all about. I want to see if he can stop Demian Maia from taking him down, then we've got a legit challenger, I think, on our hands here, because he's starting to put everything together and beating like really good guys with who have got skill sets who are really... Demian Maia is just one of the toughest guys to face, period. He's just got a skill set that can catch you out at any minute and put you to the ground and submit you, like he did with Carlos Condit. Do I see him being as bad as Carlos Condit with that? No. If he's got decent offensive wrestling, I suspect that his defensive wrestling and grappling is going to be fairly decent. Is it going to be enough though? Because I think Woodley's really, really good with his defensive wrestling, and it showed in that fight, not getting taken down really. I'm going to pick Demian Maia here. I'm going to pick him via submission. I'm seeing a lot of people on Twitter going with Colby Covington, and I can see why they're going that route. I just see Demian Maia getting Colby down there, and once Colby gets down there, I don't know. I think he's going to feel like he's getting drowned by a guy who can literally backpack you for 15 minutes or an entire round over again. I like Demian Maia. I'm going to pick him via submission. Colby Covington's talking a lot of shit about a lot of welterweights. I think it's going to come back to bite him in the ass here. So this is the fight I'm really looking forward to, I must admit. And he's a heavy underdog, as Demian Maia as well. He's like plus 150, plus 160. Now, the odds in the UK haven't come out yet. If it's up round about there, I think I may take a shot on him. But the pick's going to be Demian Maia via a submission. Round 2 or 3, but the pick's Maia v sub. And the main event of the night, we have Derek Brunson against the returning Lyoto Machida. Now, this is the fight. I watched some taping this last week and was pretty high on Brunson. And then I came around to the Anderson Silva fight, which was not a good fight, which maybe Derek Brunson should have won that fight as well. But Derek Brunson looked like a rabbit in headlights. Now, I know he's fighting one of his favourite fighters, or one of the best fighters there's ever been, but he was like a rabbit stuck in the headlights there, and he didn't really know what to do. And now he's facing off against one of these, another awkward stylistic matchup, similar to what Demian Maia is with Machida, with that karate background. Is this a fight that he could, again, just kind of like shit the bed and not do anything, and Lyoto Machida could beat him on a decision? I think he can. And I've been really contemplating this fight and where I'm going to go with it. If Derek Brunson gets too aggressive, he could get hit with a counter strike from Lyoto Machida, which he is known for. This could be like a staring match, pretty much, where there's not much offense, or Derek Brunson could be very... It's a weird fight, because if Derek Brunson gets too aggressive, I can see him getting caught. If he stands there and is not throwing much, then Lyoto Machida's going to win this fight by just picking strikes and picking him off a little bit. Lyoto Machida, in my opinion, is that he's really good at stopping takedowns, so Derek Brunson, he's maybe going to struggle to get this guy down. But the big defining factor here is Lyoto Machida's been out for over 2 years, 2.5 years coming up. He got that suspension from USADA, and he has lost his last 2 fights to legit guys in Luke Rockhold and Yoel Romero, where he really had no right taking that Yoel Romero fight, because he got his ass beat by Luke Rockhold. Heavy ground and pound. How they put that fight together 2-3 months later is beyond me. It should not have happened, and he took some heavy strikes in that one. But he has been away, and from the pictures that I've seen him, looks fairly decent. But we still need to see him through fight week and to see how he looks there. So, interesting fight. I mean, Derek Brunson is just a guy who's got big power, big athletic dude as well. But I don't think his fight IQ is the greatest, I must admit. So, coming off that win over Dan Kelly, which I pretty much expect. I thought he was going to catch Dan with a big strike. He's a very slow output striker, where Machida's going to be on his feet, he's going to be moving, just popping strikes and just being really awkward. And that's what I'm saying. I think I'm going to pick Lyoto Machida. I see a lot of people on Derek Brunson. I'm going to try and take another stab at an underdog here and see if it comes off. In Brazil, the Dragon coming home. I just think across a few different aspects of the fights, like I said, if he gets too aggressive, I can see him maybe eating a shot and getting put down. Maybe. And I can also see this just being a staring match, like the Anderson Silva fight. So that's kind of where I'm seeing, and I'm edging towards Lyoto Machida. How do I see it going? Do I see it stop, the fight getting stopped, or do I see it go to decision? I see it going to decision. I see Brunson winning rounds, but I think Lyoto gets the judge's decision in Brazil. Maybe a 3-2 in rounds, a 48-47, or a 4-1, 49-46 cards. I'm going to go Lyoto Machida, which is really surprising considering last week I was so high in Derek Brunson. But I can see ways to victory for Lyoto Machida. It's just how he looks. Big thing to take through fight week here. It's just how he looks, and seeing how he looks. If he looks very deflated, that might be something to kind of look into. But the pictures I've seen him fighting at King's MMA, he looks in really good tip-top shape and ready to go. So that's going to be my picks for UFC Fight Night 119 from Brazil. And I think next week is UFC 20... what is it? Let me see. It's New York card next, is it? That's another one between there. Oh, it is. It's UFC 217 next week. Oh, shit. Oh, I thought it was a little bit later in the month. Oh, that's a surprise. And I've been watching some taping that. I didn't think it was that early in November. That is awesome. UFC 217's got great fights on it. 3 title fights. Garbrandt versus Dillashaw, which is the fight I am really looking forward to. It's my most anticipated fight for the rest of the year. One of my biggest anticipated fights of the year. James Vick versus Joseph Duffy. GSP returns. The violence of Ioane and Jacek returns. So Wonderboy versus Jorge Masvidal. Great fight card. Continue to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for your support. Let me know your picks and how you see these fights going this weekend. Until next week, I will catch you all very soon. Enjoy this fight card this week, and then we're on to UFC 217 next week. All the best.